The following is a special presentation of ESPN on ABC.
Welcome to the 102nd running of the Indianapolis 500.
How's the old saying go? If these walls could talk? At the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, these walls, they do talk.
This is ABC's Wide World of Sports.
This may be the day that a revolution is completely and successfully concluded.
For more than a century, they have framed history. And for the last 53 years, our cameras have captured that history. Every May, every corner of this place speaks to us, vibrating with the echoes and images of what they have absorbed. Sights and sounds have flickered to life in your living room.
I'm Jim McKay, speaking to you from one of the most exciting spots at one of the most exciting moments in all the wide world of sports. A.J. Foyt is going to make motor racing history, the first man ever to win this great race 4 times.
The rumbling of roadsters, the whoosh of a turbine, the scream of the turbochargers.
You are looking live at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway.
The voices of the men and women charged with covering history.
Mario Andretti in the bright red number 2, A.J. Foyt in second, Bobby Enter third.
In one car, Indianapolis history, a woman driver, Janet Guthrie.
This proving ground of automotive innovation. This coronation ground for heroes. From A.J. and J.R. to Rick and Elliott, Hunter, Andretti, Rahal. Their families have become a part of our family. We have celebrated with them. We have wept with them.
He hits the wall coming out of 4. Will he have enough to cross the yard of bricks?
Sometimes all at once.
Dan Weldon is going to win the race.
Indy is that rarest of high holy grounds, the kind that can so ruthlessly rip out your heart.
Inside. It's yellow.
Yet still lure you back for more. That's why so many have returned over the decades. Most of their identities lost to time.
Checkered flag is in the air.
Only that chosen, timeless few have had their faces forever frozen in a silver-plated joy. The barrier between standing among the legends or vanishing among the lost is as thin as an eye blink.
He looks for a place to come by.
That was the most fabulous finish I've ever seen.
You just don't know what Indy means.
Thank the racing gods that you have been here to witness it. We thank them that we have been here to witness it with you. Yes, these walls can talk. They have seen so much. So what will we see together today?
You just won the Indy 500, baby!
We've been witness to Elio's climbing of the fence 3 times when Alexander Rossi won the 100th. Hunter Ray's 2014 win. How about Sato's redemption in the pouring of the milk over their heads by both Scott Dixon and Tony Kanaan.
And now, time for the most famous words in motorsports. Please welcome Hallman & Company Chairman Tony George.
Drivers, start your engines.
Showed you the starting lineup in the driver introductions earlier, but by way of review, here it comes across the top of your screen. The 11 rows of 3, headed by pole sitter Ed Carpenter as the field screams away. Some 300,000 here on a steaming hot day for the 102nd running of the Indianapolis 500-mile race. How's it going to play out, and who's going to win it? Time to start finding out. Willpower 12, Simon Pagenaud, and the Neon 22 taking a look for second spot.
Penske teammates, and Roger said the other day during a press conference, he said, we tell our drivers to take care of each other for the first 180 laps, and there's no team orders. The last 20 laps, you go racing. You got to get to the end, though.
There's Pagenaud again inside of power for second. The Indianapolis 500, Ed Carpenter has led every lap from pole position. Simon Pagenaud, Will Power, Joseph Newgarden, Sebastian Bourdais are the top 5. Now here's the big mover in the early laps. This is Graham Rahal. Rahal, who started all the way back in 30th position. He's picked up 7 spots now, and he's running in 23rd. Watch him at the start of the race here.
Getting a draft with 2 cars in front, wisely chooses the high line. Now he's a spotter. You can hear that spotter on his radio, standing right up there on the right-hand side in turn 3. High above, can see exactly what's going on. Radios to the drivers to tell them whether they are clear.
Of the top 8 cars, 7 of them are Chevys, and only one with Bourdais in 5th place is a Honda.
Graham Rahal picking up another spot.
And I'm not so sure James Davison did not have a problem up there in turn 3 or 4. He looked very slow off the pace, maybe got some dirty air from the car in front and ended up going up the road. These cars, they have that understeer, and you can see
this is not where you want. This is not where you want to get off the throttle. He absolutely had something. What was all that about?
What's up with Davison's car?
The situation is he was on the radio early on saying that the car was loose. They said, hang in there, hang in there. We're seeing an example of what happens if you hang in there too long. If you have one end that's not working, it goes away in a hurry. James Davison, a classic example.
That's J.R. Hildebrand in the blue, orange, and white car that just picked up a spot on Charlie Kimball in that corner. Davison, of course, has crashed once already in the week this week. A heavy crash. Left him battered pretty good as he's going to lose a spot here to Oriol Servia.
He's created an enormous bottleneck behind him.
And Eddie, you know what ends up happening when a car goes back in front of you. Your car gets to be more nervous, more undrivable. So every time a car passes him, he has more risk to actually lose control of the car. But you're right, the bottleneck behind him has created just a traffic jam.
And the leader is catching the tail end of the field. And that's Ed Carpenter at the back of that pack, right behind the double wide.
And watch for Ed to pit. He won't want to be wasting time here. He'll slip into the pits, I'm sure.
Danica Patrick, the first one to pit. Rick?
Yeah, early on, Jan was talking about the question, do you go for fuel or do you go for tires? Well, in this case, it's tires and the concern about the balance of the car. They were concerned about that. As a result, they said they're going to take half a turn of wing out and send her back out. There you see they make that adjustment and send her back out into this race.
Boy, Davidson sure has changed the complexion of this race early on. Right now, Carpenter has to find a way to carve his way through all those cars. If not, he'll get passed by Pagenaud.
You see his finishes in the last few years when he started on the front row. He's not been able to put together the result on race day that he's wanted. Once was in contention, got swept up in a crash by another driver. Others had a mechanical issue, but today hoping to put all 500 miles together and score what would be obviously a massive win. And Tony Kanaan, the former winner, up to second after starting back in 10th. Mentioned he made some bold moves on the first lap, and Rick, they got the pit strategy and the pit stop executed just right as well. Kanaan driving this year for A.J. Foyt. A.J. here looking for what would be his 3rd win as an entrant in the 500, surviving another bout with those killer bees that he seems to keep stumbling across on his ranch outside of Houston. No, I'm talking about passion for this place. Can you imagine how happy A.J. Foyt would be to give Tony Kanaan that big old kiss on the cheek if they're standing in victory lane at the Indy 500?
And guess who it is?
Right behind.
Who is the other car? Yellow is out at Indianapolis. James Davison has crashed in turn number 4. There's another car down on the inside of the track as well. And our first yellow of the race comes out at lap number 47 of 200. Davison, we saw, was in a whole lot of trouble, and that trouble just became terminal to his race. Is that Takuma Sato down on the inside caught up in it?
Yes, it is.
All right, here's what happened.
It was just a question of time when that was going to happen. You can't be running that much slower than anybody else.
You know, I really don't understand that, because he is so far off of pace that he's got to know that he is in the way, and the car wasn't right, and he came in for a pit stop. He went back out at that speed. Eddie, that is so far off the pace. You need, if you had more experience, you'd be coming in the pit lane saying, change the car, fix the car. Watch from Takuma Sato.
That's such a pity and such a waste for both of them. All they should have done was called him in, tried to fix the car. If it was loose, do something, even if it takes 2 or 3 laps.
Big bunch up here. Watch Davidson. Inside.
Oh, absolutely brilliant driving. How cold-blooded was that? He waited the whole time to see where they were going to go, and then right at the end, he made the right decision. But Sato had no place to go.
You know, you hang that one on the 33 with Davison, because it just makes me mad that he stays out in the racetrack like that.
Yeah, but that's more from the pits should be calling him in. He's doing everything he can to keep obviously a loose car on the track, but you could tell where he was getting passed. He was getting passed between 1 and 2 and 3 and 4.
All right, Doc, thanks. Green flag, here we go. Here's Carpenter inside, Kanaan looking outside of Clayman DeMello in turn 1.
That's the perfect move for Ed Carpenter. He's putting a distance between him and everybody else.
And there goes Tony Kanaan to the inside. Remember, everybody's on fresh tires, so the tires have a lot more grip with those Firestones. For Clayman DeMello, used tires, and he's going to get passed very often here, very quickly.
But it's going to be touchy for the drivers to work their way around him.
You have to be patient here. Boy, they sure are using up all of the road coming out of 2 and 3 and 4.
Here comes Joseph Newgarden. He'll get through.
He had to muscle his way through. You see the car starting to move around just a little bit, that disturbed air, even beside some battling now. Ryan Hunter-Reay going past the PNC machine of Scott Dixon.
Here's Simon Pagenaud hopping on a line. He'll get by Clayman DeMello. Once it spreads out, it's going to be harder to get a draft. Look at that. Piggott moving to the inside of the 21. Hunter-Reay has to back off, trying to find a way around him. A level of aggression that's only going to grow the later in the race we get.
But Alan, the level of danger.
Caution, trouble. Ed Jones. Off of turn 2. Last year, such a spectacular performance as a 500 rookie, qualified 11th, finished 3rd. Said this year, everyone's been chasing a feeling that just doesn't exist in this car, myself included. I was toward the top of the screen. Wow.
Oh, that's just loose. It's gone by the middle of the turn. He's not around anybody. When the back end comes around like that, it's called oversteer. So we're not sure if something broke or if the car was just loose going in to create that oversteer. But now on board, let's ride along and listen.
Wow.
I'm starting to wonder, guys, if maybe something didn't break there, because it was just a very quick little movement in the car. Either that or a very loose race car, and that's when the back end wants to come around, like I mentioned. And you become a passenger, Eddie, at that point in time, and very early in the race. Very disappointing.
He was in a lot of dirty air and very low on the track when that happened. It's almost impossible.
Green flag is out. Tony Kanaan chasing the leader, Ed Carpenter, with a big run.
And the crowd erupts anytime Tony Kanaan takes the lead.
Anytime one of Foyt's cars takes the lead. So this is the first hard exam that Ed Carpenter's going to have to deal with. We'll see how he deals with Kanaan.
Hunter Ray and Piggott. Hunter Ray backs off. Up front, Carpenter for the lead.
Side clear.
These restarts are really intense. Look at this. Oh, wow. That's Bourdais and Dixon.
That's 225 miles an hour.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if Dixon's tire might have got sliced by the wing. And he's down by the grass. Haven't seen that since Ryan Hunter Ray was making the move and looking on the high side. Man, I'm glad I'm in the booth today.
Just a little 230 mile an hour Sunday drive into the corner. Trouble, Danica Patrick.
Otterberg.
And that will be how her driving career in Indianapolis ends. Top right.
Very similar to Ed Jones. In the middle of the turn, the back end starts to come around. I thought that she was dealing with a car that was very neutral, too positive on the front. When we watched her earlier in the race, that means it's very difficult to turn into the turn because the back end wants to swap ends. Not sure if that's the case there, but looks very similar, as you mentioned, Eddie, to Ed Jones.
Oh, that's just a loose car. The back end just got away from her. And there's nothing you can do once it goes. You cannot catch it in time. Look how she puts her hands down.
Running in 17th at the time. Another look from Alexander Rossi's on board.
Good job, good job.
That was Alexander Rossi's spotter telling him good job, because he missed the accident. And Bev Patrick, not what they were hoping for today.
But what a career.
Newgarden gave up third position. He'll restart 20th here. Green flag with Carpenter and Kanaan again on a restart.
Really have enough momentum to get around Carpenter? Looks like he does, although Ed had the inside line.
Will Power around Simon Pagenaud for third. Castroneves next in line fourth. And how about Ryan Hunter Ray from 14th to 5th, former winner of the 500.
That doesn't shock me at all that he's found a way to the front. I'll tell you what, starting
that white car you saw around the outside, that's Oriol Servia, who was a lap down, took a wave around at the second caution. Now there he is through some of the strategy up in 10th place and climbing. 3 wide, sorting out into turn 1.
These guys
down to the grass, for goodness sake. Rossi 27, blue and yellow car. Also done a nice job working his way forward. Remember, he started on the last row. He started 32nd. Alexander Rossi running in 12th place right now.
This is the time of the race where I was making sure I was giving information back to the team. We talked about the ambient temperature now being the hottest at 92, track temperature starting to increase.
The ones that have driven race cars, Zach Kanaan pulling over to signal he's going to pit. That's what the drivers have been instructed to do.
What they've told us.
Signal the other drivers. Wow. That was dicey. To swerve
and
to
it's
the left
not
on
over.
the backstretch.
It's not over.
Tony Kanaan back on pit lane so soon, Rick.
Yeah, apparently he has a puncture in the right rear, and this is really going to put a major dent in his effort to win this Indianapolis 500. Not sure what caused it. There's the opportunity for debris. Sometimes you get close to something. Doesn't really matter. Bottom line is he's forced to come in, do another pit stop, and that is going to put a major dent in his ability to win this race, and he was out front.
Anxious moments for Zach Veach and the pit stop that you saw in our ABC side-by-side coverage. It appears that those flames that were trailing from where the fuel coupling disconnects have extinguished themselves. For whatever reason, that dry brake didn't break dry.
And actually you can see the flames coming up, so all that fuel is going down onto the under tray, and you'll see when he drives away, the flames will go out over the top. Sometimes they spray water on the car when it departs, and just underneath the under tray you'll start to see a small flame will still stay on board and hopefully will go out as he's on track.
Wheel straight, put on the brakes. Take a little rear wing out for you. Go, 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 go. Fire extinguisher. Fire extinguisher. Go, 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 go. Keep going. Just keep going.
Wow, scary, Doc.
Absolutely very scary. Normally when you see these teams make a pit stop and add fuel, you'll see someone spray water across the cowl at the fueling nozzle. That water against the hot cowl keeps that fuel that leaks out from igniting. There was no water being sprayed. Number one, as you saw, one of the rear changers there was in front of the fire extinguisher. They couldn't reach the fire either because the crew member was blocking the fire extinguisher. So two issues. Unfortunately, the fire extinguished himself.
So there's your new leader, Will Power. 37-year-old from Australia, originally now living outside of Charlotte in his 11th 500. He drives for Roger Penske. We said before the race, when you drive for Roger Penske, you are expected to win the 500. Trouble, Sebastian Bourdais has crashed and the yellow flag is out in the Indy 500. Turn 4, and sad to see for someone who worked so hard to come back here and to have such a good car to compete in this Indianapolis 500-mile race.
Just hang out there, wait for safety to get you. They're coming.
So this the fourth caution of the race.
Wow, these cars are so difficult to control when they're on the limit. When you're behind somebody, you get caught up in dirty air and you have a little bit too much steering in. He just had a tank slapper, whereas the last years you'd have had 800 to 1,000 pounds more downforce to help you. Look at that. He just barely got sideways and then lost control. This is all happening at 220 miles an hour.
The cars being so safe today. You see that white barrier that we have in front of the concrete wall? The safer barrier that we see on the upside there. Watch the steering wheel right now.
Almost
he corrects
caught it.
I almost got it. I almost got it. It comes back the other way. I've lived that. Then it starts to go into what you call, Eddie, as you mentioned, a tank slapper. Now you're along for the ride.
And you want it to go into
backwards. That safer barrier that's put there, designed by the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Steel and foam energy reduction really helps soften the blow to cars hitting the wall. If you're throttling back and the guy behind you has fuel to burn, you're a sitting duck.
Here we go, restart with 55 laps to go in the race.
We'll see how Power does at this restart, because every time Carpenter was in front, he lost the position.
Hunter Ray with a move on Pagenaud. Pagenaud fends it off. Castroneves tries to attack. Look at Rossi on the outside. Oh. Alexander Rossi with the move of the race.
You just don't do that with these new cars, but he did.
And we're
Four wide.
You can tell we're getting towards the end of the race.
But listen to Dixon work the throttle. That's how difficult these new cars are to drive. But he makes it through.
Caution, trouble, Elio Castroneves into the wall.
Oh dear.
Roger Penske left to look and say, what happened?
Eddie, as you mentioned, as you get closer to the end of the race, drivers are thinking about track position. Listen to the roar of the crowd for the Spider-Man.
Let's hope we see him again at the Speedway.
Look for the yellow car. Wow.
Same thing. That's the same thing we've been seeing all day.
Ryan Hunter-Reay directly behind him, and Alexander Rossi made some brilliant moves not to get collected in that accident. Back end's light, it comes around. You cannot control that. Let's ride along now and listen.
Just lost grip.
Oh, so difficult as a driver because you know you're backwards and you're about ready to hit something. You just sit and wait.
This will be a good view from Hunter-Reay.
And this, folks, this is just reaction. This is no thinking. The smoke is there. You dive through it. You hope you've gone to the right place. Spotters up top are yelling to their drivers, go high, go low. And he is clear. He made it through safely.
This new car is very unforgiving.
Wow. Yep, he can hear the fans. But that's not how he wanted this Indy 500 to end, for sure. Real time from Hunter-Reay.
Come on.
That's as much time as he had to make that decision. And the green flag is back out, Doc. Restart. And Will Power will try to fend off that hungry pack of people behind him. Look at Alexander Rossi trying to fight his way through in that blue and yellow.
And he's on the high side again.
Man, I can't believe he did it.
He got through two drivers in two corners. Rossi, who started second to last in this race, fighting his way to the front.
Well, he's starting to put all of his cards on the table.
Oh, trouble into the wall. Sage Karam. And another caution flag.
But what a brilliant piece of driving. Caught the car, brought it back, put it up against the wall.
And this is going to be a longer cleanup. What a piece of driving by Rossi on the top side around 1 and 2. And it's not the first time he's done it, it's the second.
I really don't know what happened, man.
Well, let's see if we can find out what happened.
Same thing that happened to everybody else.
Wow.
Back end started to come around. Got loose. He caught it halfway through the turn.
But when he hit the wall, it just ripped that right rear tire off the car. And after that,
once you hit the wall, everything starts coming off. That started before he came into view.
Riding along with Scott Dixon, looking forward. Oh. I'll tell you, there is some wild stuff going on in these restarts. Anytime it gets closer to the end of the event, Eddie, as you mentioned, drivers are all thinking about track position. You want to get further up in the field as far as you can because these cars are difficult to pass with, and everybody knows it's getting time to put the show on.
The worst part of that accident was that rear tire bouncing around.
Yeah, without question. But Sage Karam's day is done in this 500, and Marco Andretti's view of this 6th yellow flag. Started in the middle of the last row and now be in third place with 43 laps to go.
Very aggressive, just driving the car wherever he wants, high or low. That means the driver has a lot of confidence with the car underneath him. Look at this, down to the grass below Sebastian. Unbelievable.
This is the move of the race right here. Look at all these cars he passes on the outside. The outside is slippery, it's full of dust, and he keeps on going and barely makes it. But he does.
Our Firestone moment of the race. Then the next restart, where he tries to go inside of his Andretti Autosport teammate Hunter Ray, who closes the door, so he goes outside, goes by Hunter Ray in 1, and goes by Pagenaud in 2.
And look how close those tires are.
All this at 215 and 20 miles an hour.
And this is the area where everybody has been spinning.
Oh, look at that. How fun is that?
That's an incredible mixture of talent and just raw courage.
Well, they have this 27 car spot on for their driver, who's taken everything he can out of it, Jan.
Hey, let's watch this restart. Power got the jump on Carpenter, and he's going to lose another position to Rossi.
Alexander Rossi on the move again on the outside, going for second place on Ed Carpenter. Carpenter not wanting to give in.
Rossi is still in Carpenter's gearbox, leaving 2.
Whoa, big slide there for Matthias Laced. Wickens had to check up. Look at Kanaan. Tony Kanaan trying to blast his way back toward the front. In the 14 car.
Oh, God.
Are you kidding me?
This is insane.
That put Kanaan up to 9th place, but still a long way back in the line. That's Graham Rahal, who just popped out and picked up a spot. Joseph Newgarden in that silver car trying to pick up a spot.
And Kanaan goes again.
But now that United Rentals machine with Graham aboard is doing a tremendous job and putting himself in contention.
Nothing Rahal does in the race surprises me. He is like a tiger when he has to catch up.
Will Power pits out of the lead here at the 102nd running of the Indianapolis Motor Speedway Indy 500. A 6.6 second stop. He is back out, trying to get back into the lead of this race.
Here's Ed Carpenter in from the race lead. Graham Rahal follows him down the pit lane. Doc?
Ed Carpenter saved fuel so he can pit a couple laps later because he wants to burn fuel to be able in this last stint to run down Will Power and company. They talked about adding some front wing. 4 tires, gotta get it completely full of fuel. There's the front wing. Oh, down and away, Carpenter.
Here comes Rossi, Jan.
And they're going to change these tires to the larger stagger. That means the car will turn more positively. The inside rear will be a little bit smaller. They're picking just the right set for the finisher. Oh, yeah! 6.5 seconds. Rob Edwards looks on. Alexander Rossi back to the races.
There is Oriol Servia, now the race leader. Remember I talked about Servia getting a lap down, staying out under a caution, getting a wave around by being between the leader and the pace car, working his way all the way back up through the top 10. He's been shuffled up and down the standings since then based on the cycle of pit stops and the strategy cycles. But now the veteran from Spain, now living in Los Angeles, is the race leader at Indianapolis with 23 to go.
Whatever I can do to have a shot at winning this race, it'll happen for me and for him.
Crash Doc Tony Kanaan is in trouble and into the wall, and the yellow flag is out with 12 laps to go.
I'm okay. Sorry, guys. I'm out.
Well, we have a brand new race.
7th caution of the 500. And now Oriol Servia will have a decision on his hand, as well as the others racing on the lead lap. The speed of fresh tires versus the track position and the few laps remaining in this race by the time we go back to green. What happened to Kanaan? That tricky turn 2 caught another one.
Looks like the car just started to wiggle just a little bit. Coming out of the turn, back end started to move a little bit. Looked like he had a correction, almost caught it, and then it got away from him.
Almost doesn't do it around here. That's the same thing.
But you're hopeful.
You can be hopeful as much as you want. Once it gets sideways, you're gone.
Oh, you heard him be aggressive on the accelerator. He was looking for a draft going down the stretch, down into turn 3, hoping to make up some positions, and it didn't work out.
What a day Tony Kanaan has had. Remember, he was leading the race, contending for the win, one of the stronger cars in the field. Just after a set of pit stops, came up with a puncture in a tire, had to pit again, fell back, got a lap down, got the lap back, was charging back up to try and be in contention for the win. And now his race car is wrecked, and he's in the safety vehicle, headed for a checkup. So coming to the green flag. How long will we race under green with all of that aggressiveness? Another factor in trying to get all you can as fast as you can.
I would say the odds are off on making it through without any problems on the first restart.
These 300,000 people have all just stood on their feet, coming to the green flag on a late restart to see who wins in Indianapolis.
He didn't get enough. He did not get enough.
Here comes Wilson, looking on Serbia for the lead. Harvey to the inside, Power in the silver car. Wilson gets it. Power had to check up. How much will that cost him?
I think Dixon's going to get around him.
Stephen Wilson leads the Indianapolis 500.
Unbelievable. Power's going to have to start passing cars. There's not that many laps to go.
Got to get around Serbia quick here. Power looking in the draft. Breaks to the outside, and he'll get to third place. 6 laps to go.
Other thing for Will Power, he's got fresher tires on his car by about 20 laps, so there's definitely going to be more grip.
He's almost close enough to make a pass at the end of this lap. But not quite. Needs another 6 feet.
Power tracking Harvey. Going to look. Won't have it in this set of corners.
Now it's all about timing. Sit back here for a little. And then get on the gas.
Watch the throttle. Ooh, he lost. He lost time in that lap.
His right hand went down to make an adjustment on the anti-roll bar to change the handling of his car. What a story for Stephen Wilson. Does he have enough fuel?
Oh, he's going to have
in the pits.
And Harvey pits in the pits. And Will Power takes the lead at Indianapolis with 4 laps to go.
You be the leader, my man.
This is where it's more difficult on the team and the spouse. You're driving the car. You know what you're doing out there. The team right now only sees you come back the front stretch all the time. The spouse, the same thing. For Liz, she's just got to wonder if he'll make it to the end.
Clear by 10.
We'll check his speed. His last lap was a 2:16.
Go hard here. We got cars pit.
Three laps to go.
That lap was a 2:20.
Which, compared to the race pace we've seen for a lot of the days, is blistering.
Is really fast, and the car that's following him just did a 2:16. This is Power's race.
Will Power, for a number of years, talked about having difficulty managing the mental aspect of racing, the pressure situations, had difficulty with that. Got himself into position to win a championship, had to lose one to win one, finally won that championship. Then the oval track racing. People said he's not a good oval track racer. He's a supreme road course racer. He worked on it, losing out to Montoya in 2015 here. but finishing second springboarded Will Power's confidence level at this racetrack. And now here he is, I've told you before, so smooth and so calm and so confident all month. And now just over a lap away from checking that last box of career goals.
He's got one back marker to cut through.
And that box that you talk about, we mentioned earlier on the show, if you drive for Roger Penske, yes, you can win championships. As he's coming up for one lap to go, the white flag is flying, but you need to make sure that you win an Indianapolis 500 if you want to retain your job with Team Penske.
Clear by 40.
The lap car is Charlie Kimball. You hear the radio call, clear by 40 car lengths, 2 corners to go. Fans on their feet waving and cheering. He'll never be introduced the same way again. From now on, it'll be Will Power, Indianapolis 500 winner for 2018. Checkered flag, Power and Penske win it.
Unbelievable.
Oh my God! Hell of a job there, big guy. Good job, number 12. Oh, great job, guys. Great, thank you. You're the hell of a man there. Oh, man, you won it.
Roger Penske on the radio. His wife Liz enjoying seeing her husband become the 72nd driver to win the Indy 500. Doc?
Liz, he just won the Indy 500. Your emotion. Oh.
I can't even.
What were you thinking that last lap?
I knew he could do it. I had kind of a weird calm. Normally I'm really rest, but I knew we could. And the guys, the team, not without them. I mean, with that last lap, I'm thinking, okay, all right, I can breathe. I'm so proud of them, all of them.
He told me at home in quiet moments, he shared with you how much he wanted this race.
He wanted it so bad. So bad. He was so determined for this one. And he did it. He's been focused.
Go celebrate.
Thank you.
How about that, Alan? Liz Power's husband is an Indy 500 winner.
I think we saw earlier from Al Unser Jr. Said it's Indianapolis, you just don't know what it means. Well, that's a good illustration right there. It's 5:25 in the morning in Australia. I bet you there's a lot of folks up and about, cheering and about to start a big old day-long celebration.
How much energy was pent up in there?
Years ago, that was you. What does that feel like?
That's a hard one to answer. It's like your world just starts all over again. I'm so glad I got to witness him winning.
is such a long way from Toowoomba, Australia to Victory Lane. He gets a hug from Simon Pagenaud. Let's talk about what this means. What a long journey you've had to this place today.
Man, I just can't believe it. I changed my attitude a lot after Barber. Very positive, had a great month. I just can't believe it. I got to thank Roger Penske, Verizon, and my parents for allowing me to get to this point. This is just, I can't describe it. I feel like collapsing. I want to cry. Oh my God. I couldn't stop screaming on the radio. I can't believe it.
All right, so you're leading with just a handful of laps to go, and the yellow flag comes out. What's going through your mind?
I'm just like, I have to get these guys. I don't know how much fuel they got, but I'm just, this is a restart of my life. And then I go on and to pit, I'm like, man, I think I'm going to win this. I was screaming on with one to go, screaming like, man, I got this. Unbelievable.
All right, you've had some low moments in your life, things that got away from you. We were so close. Does that make this so much sweeter for a guy who's, at your age, 37 years old, to win this Indy 500?
I was wondering if I would ever win it, and thoughts went through my mind during the month, I guess. It's like, my career, I've had so many wins, so many poles, but everyone always talks about the 500, and I won it. I just couldn't imagine winning a race in front of a crowd like this. This many people, it's just amazing. What an event. I love it.
Well, the Borg Warner Trophy's behind you. Your face is going to be on it. Congratulations, Will Power.
Roger Penske with his 17th win as an Indianapolis 500 owner. You know that made him happy. The team, they work so hard on these race cars. So hard. What a payoff. And the driver, the dream is reality. Will Power, you are an Indianapolis 500 winner. What a day, what a race, and still much more to come from the Brickyard. Look at the unofficial results of the Indianapolis 500. Will Power, your race winner. Ed Carpenter came up just short. Scott Dixon wound up third.
A big sprinkling of Chevy and Honda Power cars through there, but when you look for Alexander Rossi, he was marching through the field. Would have been any different if he had just a few more laps. Marco Andretti, another brilliant drive by him, but never gets.
But what I was really impressed with was Stephen Wilson. He came within very few laps to finish in the top three.
And the drivers who had difficulty in the race, a number of drivers with crashes, including Canan, Castroneves, Bourdais, and Danica Patrick's final race wound up in the wall off of turn number 2. Final 3 finishers.
My favorite shot is when he was in the winner's circle and they focused on his eyes. Yeah. He looked like a crazed animal. He was just so full of energy, like I couldn't believe it.
Well, it's terrific.
Awesome. It was great to see.
Well, just like it always seems to do, another 500 in the books that doesn't let us down and sends us away talking about what a great day that it was. And so Will Power celebrates winning his first Indianapolis 500 victory. And you know, one constant in ABC's coverage of the race over these past 54 years has been, it's not about us, it's about the people in the race. And so we leave you with a very simple thank you for watching and a celebration of all the traditions that are the Indianapolis 500 and all the joy that comes with winning the greatest spectacle in racing. That was done today by Will Power and Team Penske.